Good afternoon. Welcome to Sportsline YXE and my living room. I am hockey ready. We're going to talk about hockey later in the show, but first of all, we are going to talk about the other football, or really the original football. I know in North America we have the CFL, the NFL, and that's football, but go to South America, you go over Europe, the real football is soccer, as we call it here. And some great news for the Husky men's soccer program. They have two present players, Nicholas Bicus and Aaron Hidalgo Mazzi, who are invited and with the Winnipeg Valor of the Canadian Premier League on a tryout. Former Husky Brett Levi, who was part of that 2014 Canada West Championship team, started out with the Vancouver Whitecaps. Brett, the first Saskatchewan player to sign a pro contract in soccer when he signed with the Vancouver Whitecaps after he graduated from the U of S. So he is also playing for the Winnipeg Valor. He is in camp as well, and he's going to talk a little bit more about what this means to help the Husky program, this opportunity for these two players who still are involved in youth sports soccer. Bryce Chapman, the full-time head coach of the University of Saskatchewan men's soccer team. Bryce took over as head coach in 2003, and finally the Huskies got you in full-time in 2017, which I'm sure has been a tremendous help for you, Bryce, to continue to grow this program and, have more opportunities for players like Nicholas and Aaron to have a shot at professional soccer.
Yeah, good morning, Linda. I appreciate you having me on today. It's been a good week for our men's soccer program to see Aaron and Nikki to have that opportunity to head into training camp. Obviously, we knew about it probably about a month ago that both those players would get the opportunity, but we need to wait things out and see how restrictions and COVID protocols played out. And now they're 3 days into camp, and talking to them yesterday, things are going pretty well.
A university player to go from and you are highly competitive. Canada West is, I say that, the top league in all the sports in university, Bryce. To go from that and then experience what a pro camp is like. How much of a kind of a culture shock is it for these two players?
Well, that's the thing. We've always referenced Brett over the years, going back into 2013, 2014, and he was always the hardest working good player, and that's a phrase that we use a number of times with our players. So really, when you start looking at players moving on to different ranks, whether you're a high school player moving into university, or university ultimately moving into a professional environment, we try to instill the right habits. So we reference it not going to play pro, but becoming a pro, and giving them the right behaviors, the right habits, the work ethic, because at that point you're starting to get into a player pool where everyone is a good player. So what are your tangibles that start to separate you and allow you to be that right team member that the coaching staff is looking for?
Well, these two players certainly go into camp with tremendous pedigrees. I mean, Nikki, two-time Canada West All-Star, Rookie of the Year, tremendous goal when you were playing. We were talking before the show. I think Fraser Valley, Simon Fraser, somebody out in BC, and I mean that clock was about to hit zero, and he just never quit. None of your players quit. I mean, they were all trying to get that ball in front of the net and get that one in, and he did it. And I swear that clock hit zero just after that ball was kicked. And so that, he's an exciting player to watch out on the pitch.
Yeah, I think if we think about that goal, I think I even had our goalkeeper in that opponent's 18-yard box at that time. But that's the biggest adjustment, I think, for a player like Nicky is Nicky's got that special piece. He's got that 10% that a coach isn't going to teach him. It's his instinct, his willingness to take that chance and win a match. And I think his biggest adjustment is, over the last 6 months in our training, is how does he become an efficient, consistent player where that basic skill set is quick enough to play at the pro level, and then picking the right times to use that special skill set that he has, obviously. So, if we think about, I think 2019, he at home, he took a throw in, he bounced it off the defender's back, and hit that far post to give us the win on the day. You're not teaching that in training. That's just what he sees, and that makes those players that much more valuable for a team where you can have that trust and know that they'll pick the right moments to be special, essentially.
And he certainly has lived up to the height that he had coming into your program, because I know I remember seeing and reading a number of stories about you being able to get him to come to the U of S and commit to your program, and that was absolutely huge. And that couple of games I've seen your team play, I mean, he certainly has not disappointed out there. I lived up to his billing and more, as you say. There's things you can't teach, and he just finds ways to do it. Those intangibles that a player either has or doesn't have.
Yeah, and Nicky's had a unique, maybe a unique situation coming from Saskatchewan. Is he's wanted to try the pro ranks, and he's taken his chances overseas in Uruguay and Greece, and things didn't pan out for a variety of reasons. And he's come back into, when he committed to us at the university level. We were obviously very excited because we're getting a top quality player, top quality kid. But what can't be forgotten either is he's been a fantastic student athlete. He sits in a high 70s average. He's an excellent student. He is, what we want to show our younger players, that you can pursue your soccer passion and your soccer dreams, but he's still taking care of the business off the field and in the classroom, and that's important not to be forgotten either.
Yeah, he's going to be a third-year player with you. He's in the College of Business, which, that's a tremendous school, and certainly there's always a lot of work associated with those courses. So I'm hoping maybe you and I, when he graduates, that he'll be able to give us some investing advice, depending on what he's specializing in, and help us out with our retirement plan. So you've got a ways to go, but
always thinking for the future, right?
Absolutely, you have to look out for things. Yeah. Now, Aaron, we haven't had a chance to see. You obviously have, because you recruited him, but I mean, he comes in with some good background as well. His brother Braden played at the University of Winnipeg from 2013 to 16. He was at the Real Salt Lake Academy. He's was at training camp with the Velour prior to the CPL, Island Games tournament last summer. So, what have you seen in Aaron that says to you, this guy needs to wear a Husky uniform?
Yeah, we were quite fortunate to be introduced to Aaron through one of our captains, Tobias. Aaron brings, obviously, with the resume that you started to touch on, a bit of pedigree. He's got some experience. I had a chance to watch him play with a senior club team that was at national championship. I guess that'd be back in 2019. And he has that football piece about him. He's played in the Real Salt Lake Youth Academy, spent some time in Chile. He's got an instinct that fits our playing style quite nicely. Excellent student, which again is another key piece to when we're looking after these guys. He's left-footed. He can play in a couple different positions on our back line and midfield, and just brings that leadership that we're looking to fill. As we've got quite a young team, but talent based. He's going to give that composure and maturity we're looking for.
What do you expect back from these guys when they come to bring back, to share with their teammates? What you're looking for them to show on the field, Bryce, from gaining this experience and hopefully cracking that lineup in Winnipeg and having some chances to play against other professional players?
Well, I think it's twofold. Obviously, U Sport has made great strides with CPL and has that development contract that allows a player not to lose that eligibility. But we really look at it as an individual. These two young players have goals and dreams of playing professional, and And part of our job is opening up those doors and building those relationships that allow those players to have that opportunity. The second piece to that is obviously from a program standpoint, and it's, we're trying to catch up to what football's laid out over many years, where those players can come back from professional camps and or seasons and really can instill an added piece to our culture. Just going back to that, how do you become a professional? And if you have those professional habits of training day to day and competing and um, and learning the game, you're going to be very employable after. So I think it's a great opportunity, for them as individuals, but it allows them to come back and make our program stronger with our current players, and it allows us to show incoming recruits that, hey, we're a program that can help you achieve many things both on and off the field.
I haven't had a chance to see a CPL game, and I'm sure there's probably some folks watching who haven't either. What's your impression of the quality? And if people aren't quite aware, I mean, this is a Canadian league, obviously, but it's strictly for Canadian players, which I think is a great idea and a great way to build soccer professionally in this country and let guys know. I mean, there's no ratio like in the CFL where, a lot of guys don't get a chance to have a real shot at playing professional because of that. But this way, you've got a equal opportunity to make the team versus everybody else trying out.
Yeah, I think there's a couple pieces to that question, Linda. I think the importance of CPL is crucial to our game in our country. I think our game traditionally in our country has been based around participation, and players. There's no limitation of players joining and playing soccer when they're young, but at some point we need a top piece to it. And if you look at the existing clubs in CPL, all the coaches, I think they've done a fantastic job on identifying players both domestically and internationally. And if you look at it from a U Sport standpoint, there's been a lot of players that have been top players in U Sport, and they're getting chances to play in CPL, and they're starting to find some success within CPL. You look at Dominique Zater from Cavalry. He came out of Trinity, went into Cavalry, and then signed an MLS contract. So now we're starting to see a top piece to our massive population of the game. And it just allows players to have those opportunities and dreams without having to travel overseas, even though overseas might be another destination after they go through that process.
But it's probably a chance to get seen more. And the CPL is developing its reputation still. I mean, they are still a fairly new, was it 2017? I think I wrote down, is when things really got going. They had Hamilton and Winnipeg to start with, and then now they have 8 teams and are coming to Saskatoon in 2023, which will be great to see. Some of these players and a chance to see some of the locals who may be getting a summer opportunity to play and coming back to your program to go watch and cheer them on in person. So will that help you more, having actually a team based in Saskatoon, Bryce, versus, trying to take advantage of the other teams that are out there and getting your guys a chance to get looked at?
Yeah, I think a couple different pieces. I've seen a change within our recruiting process. We're currently in the final stages of signing our first international out of Germany, and one of the attractive pieces for that family was the fact that they could continue studying abroad, but also not lose eligibility while they're trying to pursue their professional goals as well. So that's been one change and one advantage with CPL across the country. From a local standpoint, I think it gives another opportunity for that select few to stay at home and potentially play for a hometown CPL franchise. And that just I think it inserts a significant piece in our soccer culture. Anytime you can professionalize your game, you can have kids dream and pursue playing for that hometown franchise or team. and that grows our game on so many fronts, from a corporate, from a fan base, from a soccer culture, and it just kind of pulls everything together, which is crucial in our sport across the country.
So when Canada West announced that they were going to be able they're going to attempt, we're hoping it's the word I use ad nauseum. I confess that I don't know what other word to use, but if all goes well, that we'll be able to resume a regional-based Canada West season for many, many teams. So when you heard that news, Bryce, is there a particular happy dance that you were doing at home when you heard about that you're going to be able to get out and be with your players again?
Yeah, definitely. Happy dance would not be on camera, I'll tell you that. So
darn it.
But it's obviously, for everyone, it's been a challenging 14, 15 months, and I think we said prior to coming on live is we're starting to see that light at the end of the tunnel. And I have to give a lot of credit to our players. They've been fantastic over this window. There's been so many pauses in our day-to-day routines, and delays in our routines and starts, but they didn't really get down and lose the interest, I guess is the best way. They kept moving forward. So when we were able to say, you know what, Canada West, the University of Saskatchewan, along with other Canada West schools, are committed to having a revised season, I think everyone's spirits kind of lifted, coaches as well, where, okay, we've got a site in the future, a date in the future that we can start looking and working toward, because I think anyone who's in sport, whether it's media, whether it's coaches or players, we lost some day-to-day routines that we were not used to losing. And that was probably the biggest challenge for everyone over the course of the last 15 months.
So did you get handed the things that you haven't been able to do around the house list, and now that you're home, here's what you have to do by your family?
Yeah, well, I'm lucky. My wife was a university volleyball player at U of S, so she knows my world quite well, and they're fantastic supporters. But I think I've made quite a few suppers that I'm not usually around for because of late practices and team meetings. So yeah, it's been good to reconnect with certain things in your day-to-day life.
Do a lot of Zoom meetings with the players, some way so that you could all connect up and chat and about whatever, not just necessarily soccer, but how's everybody doing? And I know you said your players really stayed pretty upbeat through this, and yeah, because it is hard when something you've been used to doing for many, many years all of a sudden gets, the rug gets taken out from under your feet. So yeah, it's a tough adjustment.
Yeah, I think you have to take the positive out of the negatives that are presented to us sometimes, and I think the last 14 or 15 months, it was probably really good for me to really self-evaluate and take a look at how do we do things on a day-to-day basis with our student athletes, and I think we stayed connected quite well. We didn't want to overburden them because every individual had different stressors in their world. So adding numerous Zoom meetings or expectations, we really had to find the right balance. So our biggest objective is just making sure everyone was continually connected. It allowed me to have more individual contacts with the players, and that was probably more relevant versus the group team Zoom meetings. So it was really staying connected, guiding some of these players in the right direction. Some players work more than they traditionally do. Some took less classes. Some were at that point where they're trying to map out their next 12 to 14 months as they finish up their degrees. So there's a lot of conversations just on guiding these kids in the right direction and giving them as much support as we could through the coaching staff and Husky Athletics.
Yeah, no, and obviously that is crucial. You kind of become, well, I mean, you probably are as a coach anyway, a little bit of a psychologist, but perhaps more of a psychologist than a coach through a lot of these conversations, Bryce, as time went on, and then none of us knew where things were going to go. So, it's tougher probably on the coaches versus the players, because you want to make sure that the guys are doing okay, and you're all like family, with all the time you do spend together on the pitch. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's a different busy over the last number of months, obviously, because you're having conversations at all times of the day. The biggest difference, we weren't on the field as much as we traditionally are. So now I think we're starting to find some normalcy. We're obviously training in small groups under the restrictions that we currently have. So now the guys are starting to be on the field a little more regular, and now we're starting to build toward that August training camp that we're extremely excited about.
when in August will you open camp, Bryce?
Yeah, so with the revised schedule that came out, our first league weekend is September 10th. So we'll be opening up training camp August 11th or 12th. We're just finalizing those 2 days, and it's about 10 days later than we traditionally are. We're usually at the beginning of August, but we're just trying to connect that and work out some preseason matches. And I know the guys are quite excited with the opportunity. This year, Prairie's hosts the Final Four, so very similar to back in 2014. So we're definitely pushing things toward that goal of potentially hosting another Canada West final.
Yeah, that would be tremendous, and I would love to call a Canada West final. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I didn't just jinx anything on you there for how the season goes. Are you home or away that first weekend, Bryce?
Those details haven't been.
Okay, so that's still being finalized. Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
We don't know where we're going to be, whether it's away or at home. So.
Okay. Well, we're looking forward to you getting started up. I'm looking forward to talking to you again when we can talk about how your roster's looking. New players besides Aaron that you might have on the squad, and prepping for your first game. But I have one more question for you, and this is probably the most important question that I can ask you, Bryce. Are you a hockey fan?
I am. I have a
young. You got a team?
I'm at Edmonton Oilers, unfortunately, today.
Yeah.
Those Jets did a number on us last night.
They did. We're still trying to find the puck in the Paul Stastny winning goal shot, because that was. Mm-hmm. I thought that was going right through the net and through the boards. He caught that one so hard. He got all of that one, but. It was a good game last night. It really was. But the Jets, I didn't think the Jets were going to be okay with Ehlers out and Dubois, mm-hmm. But boy, they didn't miss those two guys at all, it seemed. So they really kept Edmonton from having a lot of skating room and moving the way they like to.
Yeah, that's a good example. Edmonton was 7 out of 9 during the regular season.
Yes.
Playoff hockey is a brand new world. So
yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, you got to throw those regular season schedules out. Forget about that. You're right. It's a whole new season, and we all know that through different experiences that we've all had, whatever sports or activities we've been doing. So, absolutely. Bryce, I want to say thank you for coming on and being with me today to talk about your players and former players, and I hope there'll be a few more guys who'll be able to follow in Brett's footsteps and join him in the CPL or have other opportunities. So, looking forward, we'll get back to you in August, early September, and see how the team's looking. And look forward to talking to you again.
That'd be fantastic, Linda, and I hope we can give you some more goals that you can announce with a great passion that you did it for Nikki. So, anytime. Thank you very much.
That was a lot of fun. Thanks so much, Bryce. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Don't leave us, folks, because we are going to jump right now into the other sport that a lot of us are paying attention to, even Bryce. Bryce is an Edmonton Oilers fan. So let's do a little playoff roundup. And, if anybody has any questions, comments, do you like my new background? We've got a little Larry Robinson along with the trophy he won for being the most valuable player in the playoffs, the Conn Smythe. Next to him, we have a little Brendan Gallagher action. And then let's see if I turn the right way. See, this always messes me up. Little Carey Price, who will be starting in net for Les Canadiens tonight. Little Shea Weber bobblehead that I got before a game in Montreal, and another Shea Weber. And it's kind of tough to see because he's still in the packaging. He just arrived yesterday, but Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who unfortunately is not going to be playing tonight. Coach Ducharme electing to sit Kotkaniemi, Caulfield out for the opening game, and I admit I have to say I don't agree with the decision. Caulfield, Suzuki, or Mia were a terrific line that last game of the season that they played together, and Suzuki, Caulfield both putting points on the board. I would love to see that as a regular line combination. So we'll see how game one goes. I think they can do well in this series. I think they can beat the Leafs, but they have to play disciplined. No sitting in the penalty box to get a 2-minute break, because they don't wind up being 2 minutes when you're playing against the Leaf power play. Matthews, Marner, obviously you've got to shut them down. Jack Campbell is going to be in net tonight for the Leafs, and he has done a superb job for the blue and white since taking over. Frederick Anderson, he's back. He says he's healthy. He had his stint in the AHL with the Marlies, and now he's back, but they're going to go with the guy who's been playing, and it makes sense. Bryce says his head's feeling much better since Jason elbowed him in the head the last time they played the Edmonton Oilers. Sorry, Bryce, but Jason should have probably been suspended for that one. Okay, let's go through some of the other playoff rounds, and then I'll get back to praising my Canadiens again. So the Penguins beat the Islanders 2-1. That was a good. I was flipping back and forth. I think I've worn out my TV remote here. Penguins up 2-1 over the Islanders last night. Excellent game between these two. Remember I said the week before, never count out a Barry Trotz team, even though I did say that I really liked how the Penguins were coming into the playoffs. Islanders took that opening game, so now that series is tied 1-1, and they are playing again tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock our time. They should have actually changed those times so I wouldn't brain lock here. Tampa Bay Lightning, the Florida Panthers, the Sunshine State Series, 2-0 lead for the Lightning. They won 3-1 over the Panthers, really not giving the Panthers a huge amount of opportunities here. Tampa Bay playing like we kind of thought they would play. Now, the Black and Blue Series, or the Rock'em Sock'em Series, anybody out there besides me remember the Rock'em Sock'em robots that were in the boxing ring? And you had your controllers, and you were getting the guys do the punch, the uppercut, and you went until one of the guys' heads popped up. It's kind of how this series is, Rock'em Sock'em. And that first game, Alex Ovechkin flailing his body at anybody he could find wearing an opposition uniform, except for that one time he almost took out one of his own players. Hit him pretty hard, but Capitals guys are pretty tough as well. Third time in a row, these two teams go to overtime. Second overtime last night before Boston finally wins it 3-2 over the Capitals. Capitals had a 2-1 lead, in case you didn't watch the game, late into the third period when Brad Marchand wasn't even a baseball hit, but somehow on the power play caught the puck in the air, got it in for the tying goal. Capitals, too many penalties. Too many penalties. You can't give that Bruin power play a chance to get going. And they had gone 0 for 4, I believe, before Marchand got that goal to tie things up, and then took it in the second overtime over miscommunication between Samsonov and his defenseman. Although I don't know why Samsonov came out of the net. He lost track of where the puck was behind him. Gave the Bruins an easy end to that game. So the Bruins are up 2-1. As I said, third overtime game. This is the 8th series in NHL history to have that happen. Let's see if they want to go for number 4 when they meet again. Hurricanes 3-0 over the Nashville Predators. Canes are up 2-0. As I said before, I'm not sure it's necessarily going to be much of a series. Vegas and the Minnesota Wild. Now this is one to watch. Minnesota pulled off what I'm going to call an upset in the first game, and the Golden Knights came back to win 3-1 last night. And so that series is tied 1-1. Keep an eye on that one. That one could be really, really interesting as we go. Heard Bryce and I talking about the Jets and Oilers, 4-1, but 2 of those goals were empty netters. So Paul Stastny absolutely ripped a shot on net that I think Mike Smith might have been concerned, maybe went through his belly button and threw him into the net, but it didn't. He found an open spot. But holy, Man, it was kind of like, holy rip the shreds out of the netting, Batman shot. So that one going to be a fun series to watch. The Jets did what they needed to do in Game 1 to stifle McDavid and Draisaitl. Can they do it to take 4 games out of this series? That's the fun of tuning in. You never know what's going to happen game to game. So that series, 1-0 in favor of the Jets. Colorado Avalanche, 6-3 over the Blues. I'm beginning to think this one could be a yawner series as well. So the Avs are up 2-0 in that one. Now, games coming up this evening. Panthers will take on the Lightning again tonight. That will be Game 3. Penguins will be at the Islanders as they shift locations. Golden Knights are playing the Wild tonight as well. My guys against the Maple Leafs coming up tonight. That'll be at 5:30. CBC, I believe one of the Sportsnet channels has it as well. So support our local broadcaster. Tomorrow night, Friday, so that you don't get bored. Capitals at the Bruins, Hurricanes at the Predators, Jets at the Oilers. All going to be really good series. That's actually a doubleheader night because the Jets-Oilers game will be on at 7 o'clock our time. Those other games will have an earlier start. So you'll be able to watch both games, get your favorite beverage in your hand. You're not going to want to be outside doing anything anyway, so sit down and watch some hockey. Basketball, they're still doing the play-ins. Goodness only knows why we're doing the play-ins in the NBA basketball. Take your 8 best teams, get the playoffs going. It was proper last year when they had to go into the bubble, and they hadn't finished their regular season. Made perfect sense. Same as what the NHL did to determine the playoff matchups and who was going to continue. But the NBA this year, who the heck had the brain lock in the NBA head office on that one? And they all agreed to it. What are you thinking, guys? So NHL, we're in the playoffs, real playoffs right now. We'll wait for the NBA to kind of figure things out in their brains. So lots of good hockey coming up. I'm cheering for the Habs, obviously. Cheer for the Habs. Join me on this exciting evening. Go Habs, go. One more note before we go. Special award to the Bell Center. They have been awarded, and I meant to mention this last week, they have received GBAC Star accreditation. So GBAC stands for Global Biorisk Advisory Council. So the Bell Center has been deemed to be having exceptional, are you listening to this, Toronto Maple Leaf fans? Exceptional sanitary measures that have been in place at the Bell Center since the beginning of the season to ensure a safe environment for all those to work at the Bell Center as part of activities of the NHL as well as the American Hockey League. Now, the Bell Center is the only Canadian amphitheater to be presented with this accreditation. So if you have an opportunity to go to a game anywhere in the country, where do you want to be? The Bell Center. So now Quebec is also starting to reopen. There's not going to be fans in Toronto tonight at the games. Ontario's announced its reopening plans, but there won't be fans tonight. But after May 28th, if this game goes to a Game 6, 2,500 fans will be allowed to actually be in the Bell Center to watch the Leafs and the Canadiens play. And it's been a lot of fun seeing fans in the stands at the other games that are being played right now in the States. And, just the atmosphere last night in Boston in the double overtimes. Oh, man, holy moly, it was incredible. And I didn't look at the fan count for what they had, but huge, I say. So let's get back in the stands, folks. Wash your hands. Get vaccinated. Mask yourself up. Wear a Habs mask. I should have brought one with me. I'll have it with me next week. So that is Sportsline YXE for this week. I want to thank Bryce Chapman again. Also, I forgot to do this last week. I'm going to say thank you to Cameron Doherty, who is the sports information officer for the Huskies. Does a great job of helping me get some of these interviews that have been with the Huskies. Really appreciate his help with all of this. He's a great person. looking forward to having a coffee with him and some of the other staff down the road here once we can really get face to face and talk Huskies. So thank you for listening to me, watching me, joining me. Hope you enjoy my living room and the backdrop. And want to thank my heard but unseen co-hosts, Lefty Munster and Deanna, who have certainly made themselves a part of the show. One of these days, I'll have them sitting on my shoulder. It'll happen. So thanks for joining. Have a great day. Enjoy the hockey. When it warms up, get back outside again. And hopefully we're not going to see any snow. Have a great day, folks. And let's not forget, this is the mug you want to have your coffee in today. Take care. Be safe.